We started in Munich. We only had about 6 hours to spend here, making it the shortest day of the trip by far. Our only real plans were to not miss our overnight train at 11. This led to us choosing a random direction and just walking. Each street felt as if it had its own story to tell, growing more grand as the sun went down. With no destination in mind, every turn seemed to reveal something new, like monuments illuminated against the night sky, cathedrals completely untouched by time. Our stay here was short, but in retrospect, it was spent exactly how it should have been. Soon enough, we found ourselves waiting at the train station, and before we knew it, we were already headed to the next destination. After the most uncomfortable 10-hour train ride with a collective hour of sleep, we found ourselves headed straight through Austria and eventually right into Venice.
Che cosa sei? Che cosa sei? Che cosa sei?
Non vorrei parlare,
Cosa sei?
ma tu sei la frase d'amore cominciata e mai finita.
At some point, the back pain caused by the bags we lugged around started to fade. From my experience, there was no such thing as a wrong turn in Venice.
Il mio sempre.
Even after Donovan got pressed by the Swedish stray dog that for some reason had to escort us out of the alley. Most of all, the city was welcoming, and almost right upon arrival, we were treated as if we had already been there our whole lives. It felt like for those 2 days we weren't just visitors, we had become a part of the city itself. With no cars, roads, or any sense of direction, Venice felt less like a city and more like a maze waiting to be discovered. There were monuments and cathedrals at what felt like every corner, while each bridge served to keep the city together. There were archways with hidden paths everywhere we went, and despite the heat, we walked around until the sun began to set, with our only concerns being how the city would look at night. I also tried my best to support a small business, but I mistakenly bought sparkling water instead of still. Right between Venice and Rome, we figured Pisa would be a good overnight stop. Within that same day, we finished the Pisa itinerary after seeing the tower and the cathedral. Although Pisa didn't seem like the most exciting stop at the time, it's one of the better forgotten gems of the trip. We spent some time at the hostel, and after running into an autistic Australian man, Donovan got really sleepy. But we eventually ended up back out in time to set up the camera and skip in front of the cathedral. The stop in Pisa felt like it ended just as quickly as it started. A fever dream, you could say. Rome was not a city I blended into. It wasn't because it lacked authenticity. If anything, there was plenty of it. I guess unlike Venice and even Pisa, I just couldn't shake the feeling of being just another tourist. Which could partially be from the outfit, but I'm not seeing a correlation. Between Vatican City, the Trevi Fountain, and the Colosseum, I was surrounded by thousands of people looking for the same stuff I was. This is where I personally felt like the trip became more about checking things off just because we were there rather than for the experience. I definitely enjoyed my time in Rome, but pushing through crowds and hearing predominantly American accents just wasn't for me, although that doesn't fully take away from what Rome is. There's obviously tons of history, and the city itself is beautiful, but when it came to the LARP, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And lastly, having to owe Donovan gelato every single day was incredibly draining.
Break 'em.
served as a rest stop between countries. We had 2 days of rest before the next flight, meaning our days were spent sitting out on the beach while our nights consisted of linen pants and public intoxication. We might have day drank a little too. I was sober though when I realized that I left my laptop on the plane within 10 minutes of getting there, causing us to miss our Uber and spend an extra hour in the airport, but at least I got my laptop back. Other than that, Greece was beautiful. Every street had a cat and always seemed to have a car barreling down the road. The best part about Athens was the beach, where it felt like no matter what time of day it was, there was always life. Outside of that, the streets were quiet, but were also never empty. We weren't here for any monuments or landmarks. We were here to slow down because sometimes the best way to experience a place is to stop trying to experience everything. Some places are remembered from what you did, while others are remembered for how they made you feel. Greece was the latter. The views were beautiful and the people were great, but that stuff didn't make the trip. Stupid shit like Iron Man and pigeon fights made the trip what it was. Something we'll never forget. We somehow ended up in Paris.
We were finally in one spot for 5 nights. The days of rushing for trains and checking into new hostels every night was over. The 2-day visits were behind us. We were essentially living in Paris. Our mornings were quiet while our nights took us to random corners of the city.
It's the Republic!
Aquariums where time felt as if it had slowed down as a whole, helping you appreciate every second spent. Most importantly, every corner was something new.
The best city in the world, Paris. Shout out Maryland.
Shout out Maryland! Or it was just the Eiffel Tower again, as the best parts of the trip were the parts that we didn't plan for.
Emportés par la foule qui nous traîne, nous entraîne, écrasés l'un contre l'autre, nous ne formons qu'un seul corps. Et le flot sans effort nous pousse enchaîner l'un et l'autre, et nous laisse tous deux épanouis, enivrés et heureux, entraînés par la foule.
Other than the unseasoned food and whatever this dumbass shit is, Paris was a good stop. The people were dicks, but aren't we all sometimes? Plus, despite the weather, we were still able to see a lot of Paris, which in my eyes made the trip a success.
Allegory of the cave.
Yeah.
Allegory of the
Allegory of the
philosophy.
Within 2 weeks, we saw 6 countries, 8 cities, and drank enough alcohol to kill an underweight petite man. Switzerland served as a farewell from Europe, our last stop before returning to our everyday lives where our daily routines awaited us. If there's anything this trip taught me, it's perspective. Meeting people who grew up nothing like you, hearing languages you don't understand, and realizing how you only occupy a small corner of the world is incredibly humbling. So much so that for the first time I realized quitting my job before leaving wasn't actually the worst decision I've made. If you're gonna take away anything from this video, let it be this. Perspective will teach you that some risks aren't really risks at all. They're opportunities that aren't always gonna be there. You are one decision away from making the change in your life a reality. One singular risk away from doing exactly what you want to do. Some decisions are only gonna make sense after you make them. Not many people are gonna understand it, but me personally, I'm glad that I took that risk.